Welcome back to another review. And today I'm caught up on a film that I missed during the whole Oscar season when I went and watched a bunch of different Oscar films, catching up that way. This movie came out in late March, mid March, and I completely missed it. I knew it got some decent reviews from people. I've heard interesting things, but recently on my Scream review and a couple other reviews, I've seen people mention I should go check this movie out by A24. Something that, a studio that's a very good studio that produces a lot of high quality movies. I'm going to go see another one this weekend. Everything, always. Everything, everywhere, all at once. Um, but I decided, I saw they had a showing tonight right after I got out of work. So I checked out X, the the Ty West horror film. And when I think of horror movies, there's different genre of horror movies. You have your slasher horrors like Scream. You have your um, spooky, ghosty horrors. You have your psychotic horrors, and then you have like your disturbing horrors. And I think the movie X here is a great balance between disturbing horror and slasher. Um, it definitely takes a very, very great turn and really becomes its own when watching it. Now, I'm going to go into more of the movie and some of the issues I had in the first half and kind of how it made me feel overall. But first thing I want to say is Mia Goth, who plays the main character of Maxine, and also an older lady in this movie called Pearl, did a phenomenal job acting. Knowing she also played the older individual is just extra impressive. Knowing she was also doing scenes kind of with herself at the same time, just an amazing performance from Mia Goth in this movie. Jenna Ortega coming, we saw her in Scream 5 do very good. She did a very good job as a side character here, Lorraine. A couple other actors we have is Martin Henderson, who plays Wayne Gilroy, a very Matthew McConaughey type role. Scott uh, Mescuti plays a Jackson Hole, another side character. Brittany Snow plays Bobby Lynn, so on and so forth. It's a pretty small cast. It's a very cut in movie where you're not really having much going on besides just the main people. And that has its perks and its downsides. Now, one thing I'll say about the movie X is um, it starts off with a weird, almost adult film like plot. And what I mean by that is um, Wayne Gilroy, played by Martin Henderson, is kind of this head of what looks like a strip club style restaurant. He's taking a couple girls, a guy, and a film student with his girlfriend out into the middle of nowhere in Texas, leaving Houston, finding kind of like a abandoned, shacky, small type area. As the movie's placed in the 1970s, right before the boom of VCRs and stuff like that, to shoot an adult film. And um, a lot of the first half of this movie is straight up, for better or worse, like just adult movie material. They show sex scenes. It's not as like visible as you get in like an adult movie per se, but it's not that far off. And there's even a couple behind me that left, kind of right at the like right when it was hitting the point where it was kind of ending that storyline per se and going more into the horror element. But I can understand why people might have, that they weren't the only people I've heard have left this movie early. I'm really confused because it was really, really hard on the adult film angle per se. And if you're going to see this with anybody that's like a mom, a dad, a friend that, it could be uncomfortable in some different ways. Um, and I think that to me really honestly hurt the movie in some aspects for me. If you're somebody who's not looking, for nudity in your movie, sex scenes in your movie, really overbearing, conversations about sex, sex per se, X might not be for you. It's very, very, very much has that appeal in multiple ways. Because I think that's one thing that also does work for the story, though, is it becomes a main central point to the individuals that become the antagonists of the movie. I don't want to go into really any details or spoilers, but what turns into a slasher movie definitely takes that concept of them shooting this X-rated adult movie, um, and comments and gives a commentary on that, and reflects that in the antagonist the movie comes to find to be. Um, but once the movie goes into like a horror slasher disturbing mode, it becomes quite amazing. Now there is some blood and guts here in some scenes, and I'm not a big blood person, so I had my eyes and I had my hat above my eyes for some parts because I just don't do well with blood. Um, so if you're somebody like that, just be prepared for that going in. Uh, but the movie did such a good job laying out potential what were kills, what weren't kills, the reasonings why things were happening per se, um, and how they framed the whole kind of disturbing element. And there's like a scene in the near getting close to the climax of the movie where something happens and it's just disturbing, and you can feel the like the filth on you for saying. I don't mean filth like as an X-rated, filth like with the adult film, like a filth of like this is disturbing, this is wrong. Ugh. But um, just a very well done per se, and just the way the movie works overall comes full circle in so many different ways. You start the movie off with the sheriff coming to this house area where all these murders happen, and you see where bodies are and stuff like that, and they cut back to 24 hours beforehand. And you get to see everything play out per se, and even though you think you're spoiled by what happens where, they do a great job having everything line up and make sense, but also for you not to know what's going to happen throughout. Just an outstanding movie, and there's something in the background of like like a Christian cult style preacher per se, on like the black and white TV saying messages, and that's commenting a bit on the movie per se, and then at the end it has a very interesting way it works in with the rest of the movie, and honestly, it's just was very well done. Do I think that they might have went a little bit too hard with the adult film for the first half, and do I think that's going to turn off a lot of people? Yes, I don't think you needed to have like three three sex scenes in this movie this way, and you could have gotten to the thriller, disturbing parts a little bit more. But that was the artistic choice they had, and they to the credit of Ty West and the crew is they wrote that was an important part of the antagonist all the way through, and so it wasn't something that was just there to be there. It actually had a point throughout with everything going on. So, um, again, just very well shot movie, very artsy. If you like artsy style movies, if you like kind of disturbing horror movies that does have some adult style content, this is going to be one that I think you'll enjoy a lot. If you're not looking for nudity, if you're not looking for big blood and gore, if you're not really big on horror or disturbing type feeling movies, don't watch this. It's not for you, and that's okay. It's very artsy. It's very good acting through it. I love the way it was shot in a lot of different ways. Uh, and I like when you have a movie where you kind of know who the killers are right off the bat, and it's not some type of like who did it type horror movie. It's like, no, you know when after the first kill who's doing the killing, and from there on out, you're just waiting to see what's going to happen. So, but where would I rank this movie on my top 10 list for the month? So, I'll say this: Morbius was gone yesterday with Ambulance. Today we finally have kicked Moonfall off the top 10. But where would I put X? This A24 horror, like a disturbing horror movie, with some really good acting. Had a very clunky first half that I think will turn people off overall. Uh, I ended up putting this. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Number 3 on my movies of the year. I think when it comes to just the artistic writing, direction, and how the movie works from beginning to end, I think X does a phenomenal job above what I would consider The Lost City to Dog as movies that are very really enjoyable, um, but they don't have a great plot through line all the way through, and they might not have the best acting all the way through. Where X delivers both on the acting and the through line of the plot from beginning to end. Um, the reason why I can't put it above things like the Batman and Bell is just because I feel like, again, that first half of the movie is so heavily like, we're shooting an adult movie, we're showing you all the scenes of the adult movie. Oh, look, here's somebody naked, there's somebody naked, oh, I'm commenting on somebody naked. That I think it went a little bit too far, and it was a little bit for me just to turn off, where I was like, okay, I think you're doing this just to kind of be provocative. But that's filmmaking, that's art, and it's just not for me 100% of the way, but that's okay. Um, but again, Mia Goth had a phenomenal performance in this movie as the two characters that she plays. I think Jenna Ortega has another great horror movie type performance. Um, and honestly, this was just a very good and enjoyable movie overall. It was a nice hour and 40 minutes. Got you in, got you out. It didn't try to make something be in 2.5 hours. It knew exactly what it wants to be. So, um, this was just a very good movie that had a little bit too much of a detail of having like an adult film for me in the first part. But once it got into the horror, disturbing elements, and it really commented on the characters of the movie from beginning to end, it really lifted off. And it was something I very much enjoyed. Um, I was worried it was going to be like The Witch. The Witch was a movie that is very artsy and it's very well acted and stuff, but I didn't find anything about that movie scary at all. And when you go into a movie and you hear it's a horror movie and it's a really good horror movie, I kind of want to feel that stuff, and this movie delivered on that 100%. Um, if you've seen X, tell me how you feel about it in the comments below. I've kind of put a different mood in here for the horror movie. Since it was kind of bloody, being a little bit of a slasher, I decided to go with some red lighting in the back today instead of just the classic screen, lights on, playing at screen. Let me know how you feel about them. I can always change my lights around if you like this more than a regular screen. Um, but yeah, tell me your thoughts on X. Leave some questions about the movie below. I'm going to see everywhere, everything, everywhere, all at once. I'm going to get that name right. I'm going to memorize it so when I do the review, it's going to be easy to say. Later this weekend. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you like this content. I appreciate anybody who's watching these and taking their time. I enjoy talking about movies, so it's fun when you see other people out there looking to talk about movies with you per se. So, until next time, have a good sleep. Stay away from middle of nowhere Texas houses, and have a good weekend. And have a good night. Have a good day whenever you watch this. I'll see you later.